history of the bullet is an interesting and one full of change over the centuries. It's a history where science, technology, practical application has greatly affected innovation, and as a result, we've seen some amazing progress in the field. The earliest bullets were actually weapon specific due to the weapons being handmade and lack of factory precision and specifications. The end user was supplied a bullet mold along with the weapon to allow them to cast their own. Now, the bullets themselves were primarily made of cast lead balls to fit their gun. In fact, the word bullet actually comes from the French word boulet, which roughly translates to little ball. These round lead balls were smaller in diameter than the smooth bore barrel to allow for easy muzzle loading. Initially, they were just loaded directly on the powder, but at some point it was discovered that a wad between the two, or even a wrap on the bullet, was a much better option. The shooter would wrap the ball in an oiled patch of sorts to both lube the barrel and to provide a seal for adequate compression to fire. This style of bullet, though primitive, occupied most of our firearm history from around 1200 into the 1800s, when we see things start to really pick up. Now, believe it or not, square bullets were actually used at least a little throughout history. However, due to the rarity of use, I won't go into them here. The Puckle Gun is a notable example of such use and was quite ahead of its time in some ways. It's interesting to read about if you get a chance. Around the 1830s, we began to see some experimentation and development of the pointed or cylindro-conical bullets that we see today, or at least their predecessors, I should say. The industry progressed through a number of designs from cylindro-spherical to cylindro-conical, and then they began putting canalors on the bullets as well, constantly seeking to improve the power, accuracy, and reliability of the design. Now, these continual improvements, along with barrel rifling and a better understanding of the physics at work, eventually led us to the great products we have available to us today. Now, even though we're specifically talking about bullets, I'd be remiss not to include the advent of the self-contained cartridge in the formula. It was first introduced in 1845 in France and shortly thereafter popularized by Smith & Wesson here in the United States. In my opinion, this was a critical advancement in firearms, even though it was relatively slow to completely take hold. This being apparent in the fact that the mini ball, a musket-fired bullet, was responsible for the vast majority of firearm casualties during the Civil War. Now, another great leap occurred in around 1882 when a Swiss colonel by the name of Rubin invented the jacketed bullet. By encasing the lead bullet in a copper jacket, bullets were now afforded a higher melting point, more hardness, and higher obtainable velocities. Now, in our modern landscape, we have numerous bullet designs for various uses. A few examples are the full metal jacket, soft point bullets, which allow some lead exposure at the tip, and this allows for a mushrooming on impact. Hollow point bullets also expand as well, but by design the expansion is slightly delayed, giving it more destructive power with a deeper cutting swath. Hollow points are very popular in law enforcement as well as for the general self-defense population. Unfortunately, or not, depending on your perspective, they are banned for military use. Two other popular rounds with law enforcement application are the wad cutting bullet. As designed specifically for target shooting, this bullet tends to have less ricochet effect, and therefore it has its place when innocent bystanders are in the vicinity. Now, finally, the metal or armor-piercing bullet was designed specifically for law enforcement with the ability to stop criminals in fast escaping automobiles in mind. It's interesting to speculate on what the next advancement in bullet technology will be, and while I don't necessarily think it's right around the corner, I expect smart bullets may mark the next large leap. With the advancement of microprocessors and technology, we're probably not too far away from seeing bullets that can somehow incorporate programming into their operational function.